recording and we're live now. So welcome to Success Paradigms episode, what is it, Andrew, 16, 17? You muted yourself.
Pardon me, everybody. Good afternoon.
Wait.
I think we're at 16.
Okay, well,
Aren't they?
Success Paradigms episode 16. This is Emilio Garcia, and with me as always is Mr. Andrew Barker down there.
Happy to be here.
Either here or here, depending on where your screen is. But anyway, today we're going to have a little bit conversation with Mr. Bob Kehr from Kehr Technologies, and I'm very excited. I've heard great things from Andrew about Bob. Personally, I haven't had a chance to meet him, but I look forward to learning a bit more about you, and then hopefully we can get together at one of the happy hours or something. So if you don't mind, Andrew, I'm going to start. So Bob, tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you originally from Texas, or?
So I was actually born in Nebraska. I was quite young when we moved to Texas. I moved from small town Nebraska to smaller town Texas in the Texas Panhandle, a place called Memphis, Texas.
Okay.
Kind of sort of near Amarillo. Grew up there, went to Lubbock, and thought it was the most fantastic city I'd ever seen in my life. It gives you an idea of kind of how I grew up.
That tells you all you need to know, man.
Yeah, exactly. It was
Lubbock, but
no, not at all. I got my undergraduate degree there. Enjoyed my time there. Have lived in Dallas, Fort Worth most of my life since then. Lived for 1 year in Rhode Island. Lived for a little over a year in Stockholm, Sweden. But other than that, I've been in the Dallas, Fort Worth area. So this is for where I am now.
Go to Rhode Island. I don't know. I picture it like one of those, kind of like Sweden, pretty looking, all nice.
Yeah.
People, kind of elegant. Not, I don't know.
It's certainly different than West Texas, let me tell you. I mean, the temperatures, the weather. Yeah, exactly. It was a little bit of a culture shock. But, I was looking for something different, and I certainly got it, and it was good. My daughter was born there, and, when grandparents are in Texas and you're in Rhode Island, you end up moving back to Texas, and that's what happened.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, I can believe that. So, are grandparents up in the Lubbock area? Or?
Yeah, my parents are both gone now. That's what they were living in the Panhandle, and no longer married to their mom, but their grandmother still living in Lubbock. So my daughter actually is back there a couple of times a year, I guess.
Very cool. So how many kids do you have?
2 daughters. My oldest daughter tragically died in a car wreck when she was 19. She was in college, and it's been quite some time. Still a devastating event. I guess you never get over. My youngest daughter, she lives in San Marcos, and it's a bit far away for me. I think, we see her once or twice a year. She is actually working for me. She's doing marketing for my company right now. Her background's in radio, TV, and film over at TCU. And quickly found out that's a very difficult career decision to be in someplace like that. So now she's moved on to some other things.
Where's San Marcos, guys?
San Marcos is between San Antonio and Austin.
Exactly right.
Okay. And so now
Dude, you were Mexican, honorary Mexican for 13 years, and you don't know where San Marcos is?
Sorry, dude.
That's the #1 shopping place for Mexicans.
It's the one like an hour across the border.
It's a bit more. It's past San Antonio, but it's a couple of outlet malls together.
Yeah.
You go any day.
Oh, okay. So it's really part of the San Antonio.
Yeah.
It's San Antonio. Okay.
It's not not in theory, but in practice.
That's funny. My daughter actually worked at the outlet mall for a while, and she said you would not believe how many actual Mexicans from Mexico came there just to shop. And it was really quite eye-opening for me to hear about that.
Oh, it's funny. I mean, you go in, if you go in on a vacation weekend, I would say at least half the people are Mexican
Wow.
in the whole mall,
Wow.
in the whole
Wow.
island. It's just ridiculous.
Amazing.
Now,
But
and where is Memphis, Texas?
what's that?
It's in the Panhandle. Most people know Amarillo, and if you live in Dallas Fort Worth, you watch the weather, you know Childress is sort of in between the two. Most people only know it if they've ever driven through it and gotten a speeding ticket because it's a speeding track. That's my claim to fame.
That's a good warning to all our viewers.
Yeah,
When you're driving in Texas,
exactly.
people generally drive fast, but that doesn't mean.
I actually have some business up there in the Lubbock area.
Oh, I'll be darned.
One of my agents, one of my advisors is actually from there, so he's expanding a little bit up there. I went with him once and I said, "You're good to go. You're trained now."
There's a lot of flat land there, I have to tell you. Nothing to slow the wind down or the dirt in the air.
Windmills all over the place and all that stuff. So where did you go to college? Did you go to college here in Dallas?
Undergrad at Texas Tech in Lubbock, and then my graduate school MBA at SMU.
Okay, very cool.
I didn't realize you're an SMU grad.
Yeah.
So there's going to
So
be.
are you involved at all? I mean, they do a lot of events, both now primarily online, but they've their Mexico Center hosts some great speakers.
Yeah, I noticed that. I've seen some great ones. I unfortunately haven't been able to go. You know, it's one of those things. As soon as I graduated, I moved to Sweden, and so I kind of lost track a little bit there.
Okay. Yeah, it's sort of ironic. I did the same thing. I finished the MBA at NYU and then moved to Mexico City. Yeah, it's a different kind of transition than
I did it the other way around. I came up. We all escaped everywhere that we did in the MBA. Just get the heck out.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it?
Oh, very cool. So, what was your what was your major?
Actually, it was more of a general MBA. It really wasn't specific. We didn't do a thesis or anything like that.
Okay. All right. So let's transition a little bit ahead. I see that you've had your own business for, what is it, 15, 20 years now?
Yeah, it's been quite some time. I was working for a chip manufacturer. We were making cell phone chips, and they were purchased by a Chinese company. It used to be Philips. They were doing a CDMA for cell phone chips, purchased by a Chinese company who did, their main claim to fame was electric meters. And as you can imagine, working in China versus working in Texas, doing, electric meters versus chipsets, very different. And they unfortunately found out that they really were not able to manage it very well. Ended up closing shop. And right when they started to close shop, I decided maybe that could be a worthwhile venture for me. That's when I first started my business. Had a good client on the hook at the time. As things happened, their funding fell through. And next thing I know, I was looking for corporate work again. So off and on over the last 15, 20 years, I've worked for myself and worked in corporate. It's been since 2015 since I have ventured out and will never go back to corporate again. Sort of transitioned my business to what it is today, and it's been really a lot of fun.
Yeah, you've become like me. You're unemployable.
Exactly. It is I would never be happy anywhere, and probably people wouldn't be happy with me.
I'm more concerned about that one in my case.
Yeah.
So through corporate, I used to work for a while, yes, but then I was corporate, but on my own pretty much. They basically said, just go and work and this is your goals and do whatever. And then I've been on my own for, I don't know, 10, 12 years.
Okay.
I mean, when I decide to close down and go see my kids, I close down and see my kids. Like this weekend, my wife needed something for her business in Mexico. I shut down on Thursday and took a flight on Friday.
Wow.
That I don't think corporate America will put up with.
Yeah. Yeah.
I won't come in tomorrow. Why? Because I'm dealing with my wife's business in Mexico. I don't think that. Yeah,
But
Yeah,
that's great.
we could do that once.
getting permission for
They
everything.
note it. You do it once, but they note it.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right.
So you and your wife are entrepreneurs now, Emilio, is that right?
Well, yeah, she's still a teacher, but
Okay.
yeah, she's still a high school teacher. But if things go right, she's pushing it so that she doesn't have to be a teacher next school year.
Okay, so she's
Is that
got
just a licensing thing? Is that what it is? A matter of getting the right licensing?
No, she started with a company that does health supplements, and
Oh.
she always wanted to study nutrition, but she could never get around chemistry and math and all that stuff. So she ended up being a teacher. And now,
Okay.
through a friend of ours, she got involved with this company, and they were starting in Mexico, so it was just like the right time. And she just fell in love with it. So
Wow, that's really cool.
yeah.
And the business is it just in Mexico or is it
No,
international?
it's also here.
Okay, good.
It started here, so she's got probably 50% of her clients are up here and 50% down there.
Okay.
It just happened that it exploded in Mexico. They basically sold the whole 1 year inventory in 4 months. It was
Wow.
so accepted. So her problem was that they ran out of all the products this month, and she had about 20 clients that I don't know how you can say this, that it doesn't sound wrong. They got hooked on the supplements.
Okay.
Seen a lot of benefits, and I 2 or 3 of them stopped taking it, and 3 or 4 days later they were already having back their old symptoms back with thyroid and different things. So she's like, yeah, you know what, we'll place an order here, and I literally have to smuggle my product down there. I was used as a mule this weekend.
Wow.
And if I had been stopped at customs, I would still be
You would have paid some taxes, that's for sure.
a lot. But anyway, back to where we were. I don't even know where we started with this.
Oh, I was just remarking, it's interesting that you and your wife
Oh, we were talking
Yeah,
about not
entrepreneurs
working
this
for
time.
corporate because you can't take off whenever you want.
Yeah.
Cool. So what else did back kind of trying to get back into the conversation? What else did you make you decide to go on your own? You had the client didn't go through and all this stuff, but I mean,
I just thought, yeah, I thought there was just opportunity. It wasn't just dissatisfaction with corporate America because that wasn't always the case. But I saw opportunity. In particular, probably closer to 15 years ago, I pivoted and I went back to my little hometown in the Texas Panhandle, and I put up a wireless internet service. So I supplied wireless internet to everybody in town. Plus, there were people 15, 20 miles outside of town that couldn't get internet, and so I provided that to them. I thought that was just a great opportunity. About the same time, the federal government thought that rural America needed internet, and so they gave money to the telcos to build it out, and so the whole business model changed. At that point in time, though, I had business customers, and they said, "It's great, I have internet, but my computer's not working. Who's going to help me with that?" And that's kind of how I pivoted again, which was to be a support person. You know, when I was working in corporate, I don't know how many times something would go wrong with my computer and I'd have to call support, and I hated it. I mean, I used to design computers, but they would make me feel stupid. They would make me wait. It was, my time was their time. You know, I never knew what was going to happen, when I would hear from them, if they could fix it, you know, all those sorts of problems. And I think that as users, we've all sort of experienced it. And I thought, there's talk about opportunity. If I can provide service to somebody where they feel comfortable, they can ask me any question and not feel stupid about it, that they can get timely service, that people will tell them what's going on, what a great opportunity to do something like that. And so that's sort of where I pivoted to. And it's really more around customer service. There's lots of people who do what I do. The technology is available to everybody, but I think that, you know, caring about people and their success is really a big differentiator for us.
Mm-hmm. Bob, do you serve in the entire DFW Metroplex and beyond, or what sort of, I mean,
Yeah.
The question's a little silly given that you can do everything virtually, but still for our listeners.
Yeah. Now that's a good question, because there are times when if your computer doesn't start, being remote doesn't help you, right? You need to be able to go on site. So we are all across DFW, North, you know, Fort Worth, we're in up in Collin County, you know, down in Waxahachie. We actually have a client that has multiple sites. We're in Lubbock and Amarillo and Waco and Austin and San Antonio. So we can serve people sort of all over. But ideally, you know, our clients are in Dallas, Fort Worth.
So do you do it through, do you have a workforce, a bunch of employees, or is it more freelance contractors, or how?
Good question. Good question. So right now I have 3 techs. You know, we're growing. There may be occasions when, again, if the customer down in Austin, if they have a problem, we may need to get somebody immediately. We'll hire a contractor to go out, but that's pretty rare. It's really about us and, you know, our abilities to serve people and our culture around, you know, being good to people. That's really, I think, what's allowed us to be successful.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll say this for you and your team: you're not intimidated by anything.
We do see quite a lot of different things, and, you know, just know that you keep at it, you get it figured out. So thank you.
Yeah.
That sounds like there's a story behind that, Andrew.
Yeah, I've had some really perplexing ones, and I would usually go to
Are you in technology? No.
But so you, Emilio, and the listeners know well of my trials and tribulations. But I've had some where typically I go first to my son because he's more tech savvy than I am, and then when he finally goes through everything and says, "Okay, it's not you, Dad. It really is broken, so to speak." Then I throw the ball to Bob. And there's times when Bob, you said, "Hey, I haven't seen this particular one before. How'd you do this?" I'm like, "I don't know." But you always got it fixed and pretty quick too at that.
Good, thanks.
Thank you.
So you also do know how to break them, huh? Very cool. So I guess one of the questions that we ask everyone nowadays is, through this whole COVID, how has that affected you guys? Has it really impacted you much? I'm guessing the remote service, not at all, but whenever there's projects, because now you don't have to go to an office, you might end up going into someone's house, I guess, in their home.
So, you know, we actually had quite a lot of projects lined up right around March. And basically those just stopped. You know, we had to keep our inventory and hold on to it. And eventually our clients have gone back to business. Many of them are sort of back to normal, really. And we were able to go ahead and continue with our projects. Fortunately, the way we do things, our goal is to get everybody to work out of the cloud. So it doesn't matter whether they're in an office or at home or on the beach, they can do whatever they need to do. And so the good news for our clients was when COVID happened, they simply just picked up their computers and moved, and we were able to help them keep going. I will say that we are really busy because our clients, when you're off-site, everything's a little bit different. And so we do encounter a lot more unusual one-off instances where we have to resolve it. Fortunately for us, our clients are still in business and they're still with us. And so that's good. I will say that I really, truly believe that this is the right time to be in my business. We're actually ramping up our marketing because of what you said. People need to be able to work. It doesn't matter whether they're in the office or somewhere else. Businesses are moving forward, and they need help. And I think this was an amplifier. If things were working great, you probably could still continue to work great. But if you ever had any hiccups, this is when you really start to see it, and this is when you really need somebody. So we think this is a great opportunity for us to help even more companies out there.
Yeah, and it's crazy. A lot of people talk about companies getting back to normal, if you can call it normal. But I also hear a lot of companies that are extending this whole thing. Like, I had lunch with a friend of mine from Prudential, and he was saying Prudential headquarters already said end of April to go back. That's the longest I've heard. Everyone else I had heard was, we'll talk in January kind of deal. But he told me today that his internal assistant is not going back to the office until, I think he said August 21st.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, wow. That's not encouraging. Because Prudential is a small company, so it makes you kind of think, what do they know that we know?
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. Maybe they quit.
No, please.
I was going to say, maybe they, when you're of a size, you can sometimes weather things that other people can, and you can sort of take that stance that maybe other people need to take a little more risk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's their risk profile counterintuitively to their size and resources. I think they may have, I'm not an attorney, but when you think of risk management, if they have one person get sick, that person gets 50 other people sick. Whereas you have a small business, there's only 5 people in the entire company. I mean, you can't get 50 people sick. I mean, 50 employees. So I think they get it differently also.
Yeah, well, I think they're up in the north, which I think, I don't know, I'm not expert, but I think with winter and flu season and all that coming, the colder areas of the country are going to
That makes sense.
a bigger hit, I guess, or rebound, or whatever you want to call it. And that might be.
Speaking of risk management and COVID or otherwise, Bob, what recommendations do you give to clients in terms of, we're all moving around a lot more, whether we've relocated to a home office permanently, or we're sometimes in a formal office, sometimes at home, and a lot of people have gone back to traveling, even if it's only by car, because your customers need it, your clients need it.
On the plane yesterday.
Emilio, you've flown a couple of times throughout this COVID thing.
At the end of July was my first. I've done 3 different trips. So
with all that, we clearly see a lot more increased logistical movement. So what should we all be doing to say safe from viruses in our electronic environment? We're also conscious now of viruses in our physical environment. I think it's sort of ironic where we're finally accepting to wear masks and everyone washes their hands 10,000 times a day. But the bad guys out there seem to have more opportunities to play games in the electronic field, whether it's a virus or some other kind of.
Boy, you are so right. And, we're seeing a lot more phishing email now than we were in the past. And so I think there's a few things that, particularly if you're working remotely, there's something to consider that maybe you don't think about. When you're in the office, you've got a good firewall, and someone's watching over you probably, particularly depending on the size of your business. When you're at home, how many people have a firewall at home? Virtually nobody. People work from their personal computers sometimes. Well, is there even antivirus on them? I mean, these are just things you don't think about when you're at home and all you're doing is maybe buying a couple of things on Amazon. Your business isn't riding on it, right? So I think that's something to consider is, number one, I would say never let your staff work off a personal computer because of the risk of, again, antiviruses and things like that. Be especially careful when working from home, working from the airport. They really should have a VPN back into the main office that allows the data not only to be encrypted so no one else can see it, but it also allows them to take advantage of all those security services that a firewall has. We've actually rolled out to all of our clients without giving them really an option to not accept it, some software that is really designed to prevent ransomware and other viruses. It's it's whitelisting. So it doesn't make a decision. Antivirus makes a decision. Something happens on your computer. It looks. Do we know about that? Is it known in the world? If not, then what? Then I have to make a decision. Is it doing something bad? And sometimes it doesn't make a very good decision, and you end up with a virus, right? This other software doesn't make a decision. We set it and we say, these are the applications that can run on this computer. If it's not that application, you cannot run. No decision to be made. And so it's going to prevent a lot of nefarious things from happening on your computer that maybe you just weren't even thinking about.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
in
I
your
like
case,
your
you
philosophy.
need a lot of those.
Pardon?
You need a lot of those.
I've been fortunate. I have not had, hacking has not been, I've not had anyone successfully hack.
Yeah,
Well,
I've been using Mac for the last 8 years or so, and fortunately, it's not the be all to everything, but they're a lot less susceptible.
well, you're right in a way. I would say that most people who have a Mac are probably infected and they just don't know it. They tend not to have antivirus on there, and there's a bigger percentage of Macs in the market today, particularly with CEOs, and that makes it a good reason for a hacker to go after Mac these days. Whereas 5 years ago, it didn't. So that's what things are changing a bit.
And it does it has changed, and that's I mean, FINRA makes me have a encryption and antivirus, and I do use I think it's called IP Vanish or something like that, a VPN. Anytime
Okay.
I'm not in my home office, I gotta lock that thing in. It just kills me when you try to run Netflix. It says no, which I guess I shouldn't be doing. Well, no, if I'm traveling, I can run Netflix.
Yeah, exactly.
You were going to say something, Andrew?
You beat me to it. You beat me to it.
Very cool. So tell us a little bit about your plans going forward, because again, I think, as you said, your side of the industry, I think if you're going to have some, not to call it job security, but there is a lot of opportunity for a company like yours now.
Yeah,
but more so now.
yeah, I think, and I really could not agree more. We've actually engaged a marketing company, and all they work with are people, companies like mine, a managed service provider, MSP, and they're going to help us to grow. We think that the medical environment here in Dallas-Fort Worth, there's a lot of opportunity around that, and not only, these are small entities. I mean, hospitals, they have their own IT companies, they own in-house IT. They have their own in-house HIPAA compliance and that sort of thing. But I would say that the medical environment here, there's a lot of opportunity to provide better service than what people are getting. And I think that they're still ignoring HIPAA a little bit more than they should. And I think that's something we can help them to be, not only from a technical point of view, HIPAA compliant, but also from a programmatic and personnel methodology to be HIPAA compliant. We work with another company in which none of the clients have ever failed an audit. And that's pretty big, because most people, if you get audited, it's for a reason, because someone has snitched on you or something like that, and there's a lot of risk there.
Yeah, and you hit it right. I think. I mean, uh, I just heard. I was just on. I got a survey or something from Dropbox, and 30% of their questions were related to HIPAA,
Hmm.
and I don't have anything to do with. I mean, on the life insurance side, they talk about HIPAA, but that's about it. Investments and all that stuff has nothing to do with it. So I don't know if they were asking generally or if it was targeted to myself or my industry or what. But I took that survey and there were a lot of questions about how important HIPAA would be for an upgrade for me.
Hmm. That's very interesting. I know that their business version, their pro version, is HIPAA compliant, and they'll sign there's an agreement that is required from your vendors. If you're a provider, a medical provider, any of your vendors need to be able to sign a business associates agreement with you saying that they are also compliant. Because if you're compliant, but your vendors are not, then you're not, right? And so they need to be able to do that. I know that Business Pro is HIPAA compliant. So that's probably where a lot of that's coming from.
Okay. Makes sense. What are you thinking about, Andrew?
I'm just digesting all of this.
I mean, you were like 2 seconds from scratching your head.
Yeah, because we've just in the last year or so, I mean, there's been cases of medical databases being hacked. I don't know if in those cases they were or were not HIPAA compliant. Right? And HIPAA compliance is not a guarantee that a dedicated and skilled enough hacker can't hack you. But
Right.
it does make me wonder if they weren't HIPAA compliant and got hacked, I'm really going to be annoyed, right? If now my medical data is out there because they were careless.
No, one thing we know, Andrew, is, and this is an internal joke, but your medical is very, very secure, dude. Extremely. This is just a joke.
Secure, actually. We can't get anything done.
He applied for life insurance and his doctor will not release the info. I mean,
Yeah.
Wow.
there is no way.
Yeah, it's
So you're good. You're good.
Yeah. See, Emilio, it's not just the technology. It's like I don't know. It's like
Hey, I'm not going there.
yeah. All right. I don't know, so I'm not going there either. We'll just stop. But anyway, yeah. In my case, I shouldn't have to worry about it.
All right. Oh man, I lost track of where we're at. So
we were talking about HIPAA. You had your Dropbox question about HIPAA.
Yeah.
Just wrapping that up.
So going forward, you see a lot of the medical, I think, being a strong area, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity there because they really need to start protecting themselves. Just like many small businesses still today have this notion that I'm small, no one cares about me. But the reality is, you can actually buy ransomware as a service. So if I'm a disgruntled employee for $500, I can hire somebody to put a ransomware on your computer. That's how close you are to a disaster. And so I think having all the right security, all the right methodology and procedures around not just the technology, but also from a HR point of view and things like that, there's a lot to be done. And I think people really need to start paying attention to it because the risk is there. And if you think about it, one HIPAA violation could put you out of business very, very quickly.
Yeah. Man, I didn't know you could hire someone to put ransom on the computer. Watch out.
Yeah. I'm going to the hospital.
Well, but you never know.
See, one area, and I might be stepping out of line here, but one area I think has a lot of growth potential is insurance. I see it in my line of work. If you also do securities, when you do securities, they tighten up a lot. But if you only do insurance, I mean, you can do whatever you want, and you have everything on a client's information, and they can have it on computers, drive, wherever. It doesn't matter. Once you do the investments, then yes, you're fiduciary. You have to have a lot of control, but
Hmm.
otherwise, yeah, it's kind of crazy. And I understand it, but I also know that on the other hand, there's like, okay, there's going to be a time that you're not going to be able to blink without permission. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I am afraid that there are still a lot of businesses that are very lackadaisical about it. They don't do all little small things, little small things that can be done. They make a huge difference. Like you mentioned before, encrypting your drive.
mhm.
That protects you in a very huge way if someone breaks in and takes your computer, you leave it at the store or something like that. Um, Huge little things like that can make a huge difference to your business, and many are so lackadaisical about it, and it's disappointing to see it.
Yeah, I know. For instance, realtors. Man, I I've I've worked with a couple of realtors in the past, and I see them send emails directly with social security and account number and whatever, just like that, and send
Yeah,
it
I,
out and bring
that's
it
the
back
most
in.
terrifying thing I've heard this entire podcast.
What?
That's the most terrifying thing I've heard this entire
Oh,
podcast.
dude. Uh, Trust me on that. I see it all the time. They don't, uh, and I don't know enough to say this or not, but their regulations do not obligate them to use a corporate email, for instance, or anything like that. So they can just send you a contract with all your information through their Gmail account.
hmm
So, I mean, there's a point where you're like, do I want to protect my info? It's probably out there already.
But not social security number. That's what shocked me about what you said because
Oh,
so yeah, I mean social security number that they would be that irresponsible. I'm disappointed.
hmm
yeah, it's that, and I think also, in my point of view, it's lack of regulation, and without the regulation, then the companies don't do training, and
Exactly.
it's a profession
Okay.
that's highly uh, encouraged in part timers. I mean, how many people you know have a real estate license?
Here in
hmm
Dallas, doesn't everybody?
I
I
think they give
don't,
it to
but it
you.
seems like everybody else does.
Yeah, if you get your driver's license, they give you a real estate license with it. It seems like that, but that's the problem. So there's no, in my mind, there's no control at that point. So when you have someone that does one sale a year or every 2 years, I mean, I've said this statistic in the past. In Houston, for instance, there's 42,000 realtors and there's only 36,000 properties. So, not all of them are going to sell one.
Yeah.
Furthermore, there's some of them that do many. So you're going to have people that don't use that other than once every couple of years. I mean, even if it's in there, it's not ill intent. It's you don't even think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Lack of awareness and training, like you mentioned.
Yeah. But anyway, that's just me. I love training.
hmm
Well, it's important, and you just yeah, you guys are hitting the nail on the head. No one wants to pay for it. So sometimes, sadly, if it's not legislated, yeah, the budget won't be there. So moving a bit away from the scary stuff, though, I think you shared a lot of good points about how we can watch our backs. How do you help these small and middle market businesses and others with to become more efficient?
A lot of times, we'll sit with a client and just review what it is they do and how they do it. And we're finding that there are sometimes free solutions that are available to them that helps them. Once you get into the cloud, everything just gets a lot easier. You no longer have to worry about, does my little local backup work? Is my computer going to crash? What happens then? And it allows scalability because now that it's in the cloud, I can access it, so can the rest of my team, et cetera. And so I think it's really just evaluating what people do and then applying the really good solutions that are out there right now towards them that allow them to be more efficient. It's really, you know, as a business owner, your business is your business, and there's no way you can keep up with all the changes in technology, or even not only do you know what's out there, but understand how it can help your business. That's where we come into play. We can talk with them about, you know, all these great solutions and how it will change their business and help them be more secure or more efficient, or both, hopefully.
Okay. So how do they find you? Because we'll tag you and put you on Facebook and LinkedIn and all that. By the way, Andrew, are you friends with him on Facebook?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you can tag him because it's live right now, and then we'll upload it in there. But where do they find you if someone wants to get in touch with you guys?
The easiest way is to go out on the web and search for Kehr Tech, Kehr Tech. I know I should have used a more simple spelling than that, but you know, it's my name, and the importance of that really is that I'm accountable, and I want people to be in my business to be accountable to our clients, and that's why I put my name on it. And it's a bad marketing ploy, but it's great for our clients who do work with us. So.
I don't think it's bad. I actually like it because most people, when they use their name, it's out of ego, and they want their name on the business. It's not many times I haven't really heard it that way, just saying I'm accountable. So that's why it's on there. So I actually like it.
Well, good. Good, thanks.
I gotta say my master's was in marketing about 20 some years ago, so it might not be relevant anymore. At some point it was.
Well, good feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, very cool. Andrew, you have any closing comments?
No, just again, it's Kehr, Kehr.
Thank you.
Where is that name? What part of the world is that name from?
It's German.
Ah, it's German. Okay. Cool. All right. No, this has been great. A lot of great tips, and we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was really great speaking with both of you. Amelia, nice to meet you. Thanks for the opportunity to come here and spread the news.
Yeah. So we have another Latin American networking happy hour coming up, right, Andrew?
Yeah, not this Thursday. Next Thursday.
Okay.
TBD, but next Thursday will be the Latin America Professionals Happy Hour.
Yeah. We gotta find a place. If not, I mean, not to go to the same place every time, but I think
No, we won't be in play. We won't be at the last month was good, but we won't be there again this month.
yeah. I gotta say I like the way because it was open on the. We basically took over the parking lot and just had tables outside, so we had the social distancing and everything. So that was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it was. We couldn't have planned it that well, but it ended up really because we were out in the open air. People, I think, felt a little more relaxed and safer. And the service is always, fantastic there. The best Peruvian food in Plano. But yeah, the data sets that we'll get out of the place in the next couple of days.
Very cool. Well, thank you again. This has been Success Paradigms. My name is Emilio Garcia, and as always, Mr. Andrew Barker is with me. And Bob, very nice to meet you. And everyone, as you said, okay, we're running to and I can't talk anymore. KehrTech.com, Kehr Tech.com. That's where you find Bob. And I think you had a lot of good points out there. Andrew, you need to pay attention on a bunch of those. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone. Ciao.
Stay safe.